The bus hissed to a stop beneath the faded "Welcome to Whisper Creek" sign. Population 1,872. Though the cracked paint made the last number hard to read, Lily Turner pressed her forehead against the cool glass, staring at the neat rows of houses that looked too perfect, too quiet. The air smelled like rain and rusted metal. Her family had moved here after her father got a job at the old paper mill. Everyone said Whisper Creek was peaceful, safe, the kind of town where nothing bad ever happened. But from the moment Lily stepped off that bus, she felt the silence watching her. Main Street stretched ahead like a photograph that had stopped aging. The diner still used neon lights from the 1950s, and the movie theater S marquee spelled "coming soon." Closed forever, because the letters for Spider-Man had fallen off. At home, her mom hummed as she unpacked dishes, pretending everything was fine. But at night, Lily noticed the wallpaper in her room kept peeling back in one spot near the window, a corner revealing something dark underneath, like soot or dried blood. Every time she smoothed it down, it came loose again. School was worse. Whisper Creek High had smiling teachers and dusty trophies, but everyone seemed distracted, whispering in hallways. The principal reminded them during assembly. Home before sundown. Everyone. "You know the rule." When Lily asked why her lab partner, Noah Bishop, just shrugged. "They say the fog gets thick after dark. People get lost." That afternoon, Lily followed him to the diner. The owner, an old man with cloudy eyes, served their milkshakes without a word. On the counter sat a jar labeled "Found Objects. Do not return." Inside were keys, rings, and a cracked photograph of a teenage girl smiling beside the same diner sign. "Who is she?" Lily asked. Noah glanced at the jar. "That's Marisa Hale. Went missing 10 years ago this week." The bell above the door jingled, and the owner's hand trembled as he wiped the counter. "Best not talk about her," he muttered. "The creek doesn't like it when you remember." That night, the fog rolled in early. Lily couldn't sleep. Somewhere beyond her window, water dripped. Steady. Steady, deliberate. She thought it was the rain until she saw the shadow on her ceiling ripple like someone walking under a streetlight. The wallpaper corner peeled itself back again. Beneath it, faint writing appeared, drawn in something brown and sticky. "I see you in the creek." Morning sunlight broke through the mist like weak coffee through curdled cream. Lily hadn't slept at all. The message on her wall was gone. Or maybe it had never been there. Only the faint smell of iron lingered where the words had been. At school, Noah noticed her pale face and asked quietly, "You okay?" Lily nodded, but she couldn't stop glancing at the windows. Outside, the fog still hugged the streets, even though it was almost noon. "It's never this thick during the day," Noah muttered. That afternoon, their history teacher, Mrs. Carmichael, assigned a group project about local legends of Whisper Creek. Noah and Lily exchanged a look. Maybe this was the excuse they needed. The teacher smiled, but her eyes were cold. "Be careful where you look," she said softly. "Some stories don't like being told." They began their research in the school library. Most of the books were water-stained, and several pages had been torn out. But tucked between old yearbooks, Lily found a yellowed newspaper clipping from 1993. "Teen girl vanishes near Creek residence. Reports strange lights." The article mentioned a curfew law passed the following week. In the photograph, Marisa Hale stood with her arms around two friends. The background caught Lily's attention. The same diner, but behind it, a dark line of trees led toward the creek. "We should check it out," Lily said. Noah frowned. "After dark?" "Yeah. That's against the rule." She smiled nervously. "Then maybe it's time someone broke it." When the sun dropped below the hills, the town seemed to hold its breath. Streetlights buzzed weakly. The fog thickened, turning every beam of light into a glowing hollow. Lily pulled her jacket tighter as they reached the diner. It was closed, but the neon sign flickered like a dying heartbeat. Open. Pen. N. Off. They moved toward the woods. The deeper they went, the quieter it became. No crickets. No wind. Not even the sound of their footsteps. Then they saw the creek. It wasn't much. Just a ribbon of water winding between moss-covered stones. But the air above it shimmered like heat. Beneath the surface, something pulsed faintly, as though the ground itself had a heartbeat. Noah crouched beside the bank. "It's warm," he whispered. "Feel that?" Lily said. Her voice trembled. The fog shifted, revealing a wooden sign half buried in the mud. Carved into it were the words, "Return what was taken." Noah reached out to touch it, but a sound echoed through the mist, a wet, dragging noise, like someone pulling a sack across the ground. They froze. "Lily," Noah whispered. "Someone's there." A figure emerged at the edge of the creek. At first it looked human, but its outline was wrong. The limbs too long, the neck slightly bent, as if its bones had been reared. The thing stood ankle-deep in the water, head tilted toward them. Then Lily saw its face, or rather, faces overlapping, faintly visible beneath the skin, like reflections pressed into glass. She recognized one. "Marissa," the creature twitched. A whisper spread through the fog, hundreds of voices murmuring the same word over and over, their tones hollow and drowned. "Return. Return. Return." Noah grabbed her hand, and they ran. Behind them, the whispers grew louder until the air seemed to vibrate with them. When they reached Main Street, the fog stopped chasing them, held back by some invisible line. The old diner owner was standing outside his door, as if white. "You shouldn't have gone there," he said. His voice cracked. "Now it knows your names." The next morning, the fog was gone, but the silence stayed. Even the birds seemed afraid to break it. Lily woke up with mud on her shoes. She didn't remember getting back into her room. The last thing she recalled was the diner owner's pale face in the mist. She turned toward her window and froze. Someone had scratched something into the glass from the outside. 3 words. "I know you." Her mother's voice called from downstairs, cheerful as ever, humming while she made breakfast. Lily stepped out into the hallway. The house smelled like coffee and wet leaves. Everything felt normal, but too normal, like the world was pretending. At school, Noah didn't show up. His seat sat empty, his backpack still in his locker. When she asked the teacher, Mrs. Carmichael just shook her head. Noah Bishop moved away this morning. His parents thought it was best. Lily stared at her. "That's not possible. I saw him last night." The teacher's expression hardened. "You shouldn't go near the creek again." At lunch, no one sat with her. Whispers passed through the cafeteria like wind, through dead grass. She went there. She brought it back. That afternoon, Lily walked home alone. The fog had started creeping back early, seeping between buildings like smoke. She crossed Main Street and noticed the found objects jar on the diner counter was empty. The neon sign outside buzzed weakly. "Return. Return," flickering like a dying heartbeat. Inside, the owner wasn't there. The counter was sticky. When she leaned closer, she saw it wasn't syrup. It was water. Creek water. A trail of wet footprints led to the basement door. It was open. The smell hit her first. Damp earth, rust, and something faintly sweet like decayed fruit. She descended slowly, phone, flashlight, trembling in her hand. The basement wasn't really a basement. It was a tunnel, rough, handug, stretching into darkness beneath the diner. The walls pulsed faintly, wet and breathing. She reached a chamber where the air felt thick and humming. At the center was a pool of murky water, bubbling softly. Inside floated the found objects. Rings, keys, photographs, circling like offerings. And Noah's phone. Lily's hand shook as she reached toward it. The moment her fingers brushed the surface, the pool shivered. A voice rose from the water. Noah's voice. Lily, I didn't leave. Something moved beneath him. A pale hand shot up, gripping her wrist. The skin was slick and cold. Another voice joined, Marissa's, then more. Dozens. Hundreds. They echoed through the tunnel, overlapping in a low chant. Return what was taken. Return. Return. She screamed and yanked free, stumbling backward, slipping in the mud. The walls seemed to ripple as if the earth itself were breathing around her. A shape began to rise from the pool. Tall, skeletal, made of shifting faces. Their eyes opened all at once, staring at her through the same watery skin. She ran. By the time she burst through the diner door and into the street, the fog was everywhere, rolling thick and heavy, swallowing houses, signs, and sky. The town siren began to wail. Windows slammed shut. Doors locked. Lily fell to her knees in the middle of Main Street as voices whispered from every direction the same phrase, spoken in unison by unseen mouths. Welcome back, Lily Turner. You belong to Whisper Creek now. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out with shaking hands. The screen glitched. Static and flickers of faces. Marissa, Noah, the diner owner, all staring. Then a line of text appeared. Part of the creek. Forever she dropped the phone and ran toward home. But every street led her back to Main Street. The fog tightened like a noose. The lights of the diner flickered one last time, open, then went dark. When she looked up, she saw her reflection in the window. Only it wasn't a reflection anymore. It smiled first. The siren was still echoing in Lily's ears when she opened her eyes. Sunlight spilled through her window, golden and ordinary, as if the night before had been a dream. Her phone lay on the floor where she'd dropped it perfectly fine. No cracks, no messages. Downstairs, her mother was humming again. Bacon sizzled. For one wild moment, Lily thought maybe she'd imagined everything, the fog, the voices, the thing in the water. Then she noticed the photo frames on the hallway wall. Family pictures, vacations, birthdays. Every single one showed 3 people. Her mother, her father, her little brother. She wasn't in any of them. Mom. Her voice broke. Where's my picture? Her mother looked up from the stove, startled. Your picture. Lily pointed to the empty space. Her mom smiled polite, confused. Honey, are you feeling all right? You must be the new neighbor, right? The one renting the Harris place? The spatula clattered from Lily's hand. Mom, it's me. But the woman just frowned, backing away. I think you should leave. Outside, the air smelled like chlorine and paper industrial. Sterile. The fog was gone, yet everything seemed scrubbed clean. Too quiet. People she knew, classmates. Neighbors walked right past her without a flicker of recognition. At school, her name wasn't on the attendance list. When she went to her locker, it was empty, freshly painted. Noah's nameplate was gone too. She ran to the library, desperate. The old newspaper clipping was still there, but the headline had changed. Local teen drowns in Whisper Creek. There was no picture, just blank space where her face should have been. A voice rasped from the corner. You shouldn't read about yourself, girl. Lily turned. An old man sat hunched over a stack of books, his coat soaked as if he'd crawled out of the creek itself. His eyes were pale gray, the color of fog. Who are you? Sit. Ask it. He smiled, teeth like river stones. Someone who remembers what the town forgets. He gestured for her to sit. Every few years, the creek takes someone. Then it erases them, wipes their name, their pictures, their scent from the air. The rest of us pretend, because pretending keeps us safe. Safe from what? The truth. He leaned closer. The creek isn't water, it's memory. Everything this town ever buried ends up down there, and now it wants you back. Before she could reply, the lights flickered. Outside, engines rumbled 3. Black vans pulling up in front of the diner. Men in gray uniforms stepped out, faces hidden behind reflective visors. Their jackets bore a logo she didn't recognize. WC Property Management. The old man's hand clamped around hers. They're not fixing anything. They're sealing it. What happens if they do? Then you stay erased. He slipped something into a rusted key, marked 39, whispered, "If you want to live, find the first tunnel before they pour the concrete." Then he was gone, dissolving into the sunlight like mist burned away. Night returned like a slow infection. By 9 o'clock, the entire town was asleep or pretending to be. Lily crouched across the street from the diner, hiding behind an abandoned phone booth, clutching the rusted 13 key the old man had given her. The black vans were still parked outside. She watched 2 men in gray uniforms finish sealing the front door with steel braces, muttering to each other in clipped, emotionless voices. When they drove away, she crossed the street. The open sign had been replaced with a yellow notice that read, "Condemned. Property of Whisper Creek Development Authority." She pried open the side window, slipped through, and dropped into darkness. The smell hit her instantly. Metal and faint sweetness. Beneath her feet, water dripped steadily. The diner looked different now. The counter was gone. The floorboards ripped up. A square hole yawned in the center, surrounded by temporary floodlights. Someone had uncovered the tunnel again. A generator hummed softly nearby, its cord vanishing into the black water below. Lily crept closer. The hole pulsed faintly, as if the earth itself was breathing. Her reflection in the water looked wrong eyes too dark, mouth moving slightly behind her still lips. She heard footsteps above. Voices. The cleanup crew was back. She ducked behind a stack of crates as 2 men descended the stairs. Their visors glowed faintly from the inside, faces hidden. One of them carried a metal case stamped with a warning symbol. "We found another chamber," one said. "Sealed by morning. Headquarters doesn't want another incident like Bishop." Lily froze. Bishop. Noah. The second man knelt by the hole and unclamped the case. Inside were long rods of steel etched with strange sigils. He began lowering them into the tunnel like stakes. As each one touched the water, the air vibrated. The surface rippled and voices rose from below. Hundreds, whispering in pain. The men didn't react. They just kept working. When the last rod went in, the first man whispered into his radio, "Phase 1 complete." Then he glanced around. "Why did you hear that?" Lily didn't breathe. A drop of water fell from the ceiling onto her hand, warm and slick. It glowed faintly, so looked up. The plaster was wet, pulsing. The men turned toward her hiding spot. Something moved in the walls. A low groan shook the floor, followed by the sound of tearing wood. The tunnel below exploded, upward jets of black water spraying through the diner like geysers. One of the men screamed as the liquid hit him. His visor fogged, melted, then cracked from the inside as his skin bubbled beneath it. The other man ran for the stairs, but the steps had already softened, swelling like tissue. The water was alive. It surged toward Lily, tendrils curling like fingers. She stumbled back, the 13 key burning in her palm. Without thinking, she dove into the tunnel. The water didn't feel cold, it felt aware. It pressed around her like hands, showing her flashes of memory not her own. Noah's face, Marissa's laugh, the diner owner kneeling beside a shrine of bones. Then a deeper voice, the one she'd heard in her dreams, whispered through the current, "We remember you, Lily Turner. We made you so the town could feed." Her lungs burned. She kicked upward, breaking the surface in another chamber, the one from her nightmares. Tisame pool, the same relics swirling in slow orbit. But this time, at the center, something new floated there, her own backpack. Inside it, her school ID card, only the name was different. Lily Harper. The creek had rewritten her. She screamed, the sound echoing endlessly through the tunnels. The water rippled, and a figure rose from it. Noah. his face pale but calm, eyes glowing faintly blue. "It's not what you think," he said. "They tried to contain it, not destroy it. Whisper Creek was never a town, it was a vessel. And you're what keeps it alive." Lily backed away. "You're lying." Noah reached toward her. "Come back, before it finishes rewriting you." The ceiling cracked. Water poured in from above. Somewhere far away, she could hear the van's engines starting, the cleanup crew sealing the exits. The tunnel began collapsing. She turned and ran, clutching the key. Behind her, Noah's voice faded into the roar of water. "You can't leave, Lily. You are the creek now." The rain hadn't stopped in 3 days. It was as if the sky itself was trying to drown the town of Whisper Creek. Lily stood outside the old diner, shivering under her soaked hoodie, watching the flickering sign struggle to stay alive. Whisper Creek Diner. Half the bulbs burned out. The place looked deserted now. The windows were boarded up. The cleanup crew trucks were gone. But the moment she stepped closer, she could feel something moving beneath the foundation. A hum, soft but unmistakable, like breathing. She took a deep breath and pulled out the rusted key she'd stolen from the sheriff's office. The lock cracked open. The door groaned like it didn't want to be disturbed. Inside, everything smelled of mold and old grease. The fluorescent lights flickered to life one by one, buzzing like dying flies. The floor was wet, as if the rain was seeping upward from the ground, not downward from the ceiling. "Hello," she whispered. Silence. Her boots echoed across the tile. Tables were overturned, ketchup bottles shattered, chairs missing. Then she saw it. The trapdoor in the corner, half covered by a greasy rug. It had been sealed before, welded shut by the cleanup crew. Now, a thin line of water was leaking from beneath the welds, black, oily, and pulsing. Something inside her knew she shouldn't open it, but something else. A whisper in her mind urged her forward. She crouched down, pressed her ear to the metal. For a moment, all she heard was her own heartbeat. Then came the voice. "Lily." Her name, drawn out, soft, tender, like her mother used to say it, when she was half asleep. Her breath caught in her throat. She stumbled back, shaking. "No," she whispered. "You're not real." But the whisper laughed. A bubbling sound, like water boiling deep underground. The welds began to crack. Steam hissed from the seams. The metal glowed faintly red. Lily screamed as the trapdoor exploded open, splashing her with a burst of freezing black water. From the darkness below, stairs descended into nothingness, dripping, endless, and something waited at the bottom. Each step down felt like walking through time. The deeper Lily went, the more her flashlight flickered, as though the air itself was fighting her presence. The walls pulsed, soft, organic, veined. The smell was unbearable. Copper, rot, and wet soil. She realized she wasn't inside a tunnel anymore. She was inside something alive. Whisper Creek had no river. But beneath it, something flowed. The staircase ended in a vast chamber. It looked like a cathedral carved from flesh. Water dripped from the ceiling in rhythmic patterns, almost like breathing. In the center stood an altar made of old McDonald's tiles, fused together with bone. Floating above it was the thing, a shifting, translucent mass, vaguely human, but stretched and warped. Faces appeared and vanished inside it, whispering words in dozens of voices. She saw flashes of people she knew, her mother, her classmates, even Sheriff Daly, all speaking in unison. "Join us." Lily stumbled back, shaking her head. "No! You took them!" The thing pulsed a slow heartbeat through the entire room. "We are them." Whisper Creek was built to feed us. Every town needs a story. Every brand needs believers. Lily realized the truth. This wasn't just some local curse. It was manufactured. The company that built the diner had found something ancient, a water vein that held memory. Instead of sealing it, they fed it. Every burger, every drink, every customer carried a fragment of the entity. It had been slowly spreading through the town for decades, Rewriting minds. You made us forget, Lily whispered. No, it said. We helped you remember what you truly are. The walls rippled, and for a split second, Lily saw visions. The original founders of the town standing in a circle, holding hands over the same black water, signing contracts. Smiling. A brand was born. A curse was sealed. Whisper Creek is the brand now, the voices said, echoing around her. And the world is buying in. Lily turned and ran. The tunnel behind her was changing, turning into corridors lined with rusted McDonald's equipment. Registers glowing faintly. Menus flickering with nonsense text. New item. Fleshburger 2.0 now hiring. Forever. She stumbled through the rising water, her flashlight dying completely. In the distance, she saw light the stairs. She clawed her way up, gasping, coughing, the whispers following her. Lieli, you belong to us. She burst through the trapdoor into the diner, slamming it shut behind her. The moment it clicked, the building shook. The floor bulged like something huge was moving beneath it. Then silence. The air felt different. The storm had stopped. Outside, the world looked normal. Too normal. The streets were dry. The sky was bright blue, and people were walking around, smiling, the same exact smile. She stepped outside, trembling. A man walked past her wearing a McDonald's uniform she didn't recognize. Deep crimson with a golden ripple pattern like flowing water. Welcome to McDonald's, he said cheerfully. Would you like to try our new Creek meal? Lily froze. Behind him, she saw the golden arches, but they weren't metal anymore. They pulsed. Slowly. Like veins. 3 weeks later, a journalist named Daniel Cole sat in his van just outside Whisper Creek. He was recording a podcast called Hidden Downs, The American Unseen. Reports suggest Whisper Creek was evacuated after chemical contamination, he said into the mic. But what's strange is, there's no record of the town ever existing before 1973. Every map shows it just appearing, and the company that built its diner no longer exists. He paused, listening to static in his headset, then a faint whisper. Daniel. He frowned. Who's there? The voice on the radio crackled again. It was a young woman's voice. Tired. Faint. Don't come here. It's not a town anymore. He swallowed. Who is this? Lily, the voice said. It's in the water. It's in you. The radio went dead. Daniel looked out at the town. The diner lights flickered on, even though the power grid had been shut down for weeks. The sign glowed bright gold now. Not McDonald's. Not Whisper Creek. Just one word. Eat. Miles away, across the U.S. The new Creek Meal ad campaign began airing. Smiling faces. Fresh burgers. Flowing golden liquid instead of soda. Taste the memory. Join the flow. People everywhere were drawn to it. Addicted after the first bite. They said it tasted like nostalgia, like home. But every once in a while, someone would wake up in the night and hear whispering from their kitchen sink. A soft, rippling sound, calling their name. Fade out.